Hello, I'm today's host for Live at Lunch, DJ Slushpup. Live at Lunch is produced by KRFC 88.9 FM in the Ginger and Baker studio in Fort Collins, Colorado. And it's supported by the Music District, a music-centric gathering place to cultivate talents, support professional development, and encourage connections. Today's video is made possible by KRFC and Fort Collins Public Media. Today's sound team is Colton Boening and Greg Douras. Today's video tech team is Eric Delano and Jeremy Smith. We have a very special treat for you all today. I'm excited to introduce today's musical guests. Jonathan Sadler and Clint Wilcox are more than physics. Nice.
All right.
Just listen to the sustain.
Yeah.
If you were here in the room, it's still, nah, I'm kidding. That is really cool stuff. So I was going to ask you, and I will ask you about your new album and new recording, but I think I and the listeners all want to talk about these contraptions because this is really cool stuff. I've never seen these before. They look like steel drums, kinda, but they're not steel drums, right? What are these things?
Well, we like to call them hand pans. That's the common vernacular. They are inspired by this steel hand pan drum. Felix Rohner, when he invented them, was asked to make a steel pan that one could play with their hands. And many years later, he came out with the first hung. Since then, there's now hundreds of builders across the world making incredibly unique things, changing the material, changing the nitriding process, which is a process that uses nitrogen and high heat to change the steel and the sound of it. At first, they said you couldn't build on stainless, and now you can. So, sky's the limit. But it all started with oil barrels back in the Trinidad and Tobago.
Sure. They remind me of tortoises a little bit.
Teenage Mutant Ninja
That
Turtles.
has been a comparison before.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Or Weber Grill.
Yeah, and you may not be able to tell on the video, but there's a bottom to it to give it a resonating chamber as well. Is it permanently welded together?
The two halves are actually glued together with some sort of elastic glue. There's a preferred brand between all the people that build them. So
Okay. Makes it a little more exciting to transport them all, since you can't stack them like Lay's
Yeah.
potato chips.
it's definitely exciting to transport, yeah, especially when you have 11 like we do when we move stuff
Yeah.
around. So
A lot going on. Now they're
Yeah.
all tuned to different notes. And I noticed you were bopping around between different ones. Are they on scales? Are we looking at equivalents to like harmonicas, basically?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
That's
For
a
the
really
most
great
part.
analogy. Like I think that's, most handpans have their own names for the scales, but they're all going to be in sort of an Ionian, Aeolian, Locrian, Dorian, Phrygian.
they make these romantic names for the scales.
Voyager
So this
one
is
and
Golden
stuff like
Gate
that.
and Voyager and all this business. Yeah,
But really, you have the notes you have. It's kind of like Yahtzee, how they're thrown on there because there's differences in how the notes can impede, but typically it is
Okay.
always an ascending scale.
Ah, okay.
So there's an ascending and a descending scale, and within that you can make chords. Put two pans together, you can start making chord changes, key changes, and
Yeah.
when you put 11 together, and if you had the right pans, you could probably do it with 3. But we've done it this way, and that allows us to play basically every note on the keyboard.
Okay.
But I have, there's more than just one of the same note. So I have an option to play it over here if it makes sense for the sticking, or over here if it makes sense to do it because I'm playing in this area. So
Okay.
lots of options, and this is the redundant way to do it for sure.
Sure.
But having that redundancy allows you to have more freedom in composition.
Sure. Just like you can play the same note on different strings in a guitar, right?
Basically,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Do atmospheric conditions change the tuning of them at all, or are they pretty consistent?
Sunlight will.
Yeah, you can't play in direct sunlight or else, because the metal is only like a millimeter thick.
Okay.
So the sunlight will kind of detune it, and if you play it while it's detuned, you can ruin it. So.
Oh, wow.
I know, it's pretty weird.
Okay.
So we carry an easy up with us too most of the time.
And it's like a gremlin. Don't feed it after
Exactly.
midnight either.
Right, there's a little
Exactly.
genie that lives inside. And
That's
you
really
can't
how
upset the
sound
genie.
Don't upset them. Excellent. Okay, well, let's get back to another song. And what was that last one called?
That was called Why We Fell in Love, and it's basically our relationship or obsession with this instrument. So yeah, it's not about the girlfriends or anything.
All right. Well, it seems a fitting introduction. Okay. Well, here's more than physics with another song called Wandering Glass.
Wandering glider.
Wandering Glider. Enjoy. Nice. Wandering Glider by More Than Physics. Jonathan on the marimba over there and Clint on the handpan. Although, hopefully, we'll get you both on the handpans.
That's going to happen.
Oh, my goodness.
What's up next?
Crazy. And that is a marimba, right? Not a
Correct.
Vibraphone. Vibraphones are metal.
Typically, they are always, vibraphone will always be metal, yeah, because the bars have 10 times as much sustain.
Okay. Got it.
The vibes would still be going next week, so.
Again with the sustain. All right. 2 sustain jokes today. Great.
I don't know if I can sustain that much.
3. Okay. The harmonics you can achieve on the handpans, is that on, can you do that on purpose?
Yep.
It's really cool sounding. Okay.
So each one has a fifth and an octave. There is some rare birds out there with thirds, but typically it's a fifth and an octave on every note. Yeah. Some of my notes are pure tones, so they don't have any harmonics.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so that's kind of built into it, and then you can how you play it, you can control how much of that.
There's just a fifth.
Yeah. Well, fair.
Yeah, there's just that's right.
A second note, like a Tuvan throat singer.
Sure.
Okay, so I want to get into a little bit about how you two met and formed this band.
Sure. Gosh, we've been telling this story for 12 years now, huh, Clint?
I first saw one of these in 2006 when I worked at a drum store. Yeah, I saw it in Alaska, and then I said, yeah, I'll get one of those. And then I found out at that time you really couldn't get one. So I made tank drums, which is like this, but it's slits cut into the bottom of a propane tank.
Okay.
Obviously, it's an empty tank. But you can tune those slits like a wooden tongue drum, and you can tune those very precisely. So I sold a bunch of those in order to purchase my first handpan. Okay. And I was working at the drum store, and Jonathan came in and bought one of the tank drums. And he's like, dude, this is great. And so he came back and bought tabla, and then I got the handpan. He's like, well, we got to jam. And so we did. And it was like in May of 2011 is when we started this. So.
And that was in Alaska?
Here.
No, I first saw one in Alaska. I was working here in town.
Colorado Drum and Percussion.
At the drum store, the one that was on Linden?
Yep.
Yeah.
Clark and Pete and all those guys.
I miss that place.
Me too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really it was a special time.
Okay. So you started jamming it together, and then you thought, let's write songs.
Well, it was originally just the halo there and the tabla. And I had the marimba, but we hadn't tried that yet. So we played for a while with just the halo and the tabla. And then we started incorporating the marimba, and we got our first gig for a benefit that was at like Old Town Yoga. And it was a benefit, and we did that. And then shortly after that, we started writing a lot of songs. And before too long, we did our first Live at Lunch. And we used that Live at Lunch to fund our first record. We sold those CDs and like blasted paper
We sold a lot of those CDs. Burned CDs with a little paper folded cover.
Our first one. that's
so long.
really KRFC is what helped us get our first album out, which was like the groundwork for everything that's come since. We've got 3 other albums, and we're working on a 5th coming. So
That's amazing. That's really cool. The latest album came out in May called Strata. It's got a really cool cover, by the way. I like the cover.
That's
a
cool,
lot.
yeah.
our friend made that. He's living in Ireland. His name is Nestor Formentera.
I wanted to make sure with all the AI art that was coming out at the time that we had a real artist using an actual medium. That's all done with a pen on paper. So
Oh, cool.
pretty amazing what he can do. So
He's got an Instagram as well.
pretty
if you're
important
interested.
to me to do that.
Yeah.
Nestor Formentera is his Instagram.
Do you record yourselves or do you go to a studio?
So we recorded our first album at Swing Fingers. That's Aaron Youngberg here in town
Yep, yep.
from Fenders and Youngberg.
Up there by Horsetooth, right?
Yep, that
Yeah.
was our first album. And the next album, we did a few songs at the Music District and a few songs in our friend's garage. And then the third album we recorded at Wind Over the Earth in Longmont.
Okay.
And the fourth album and the fifth album, and probably the rest of them for the next foreseeable future, are going to be done with Mordor Studios. It's our friend Andrew Waltman, local sound technician and excellent recording engineer. So that's where Strata was recorded, was here in town, Fort Collins.
We were fortunate enough to hang steel siding on his barn where the studio is located in exchange for recording time. So it was like this really cool barter situation that we were able to do, and it was pretty stressful for us because we don't do a lot of steel siding, and it's like very technical work. It's hard labor, but it was seriously fun, and it turned out really great. So yeah. So I think we have a little bit more recording time built up. So
All right. Made it happen, and new stuff coming out soon. All right. Well, I think I'm ready if you are.
We are. This one's called Looking Glass.
All right. called Looking Glass, and it's from the latest More Than Physics release, which is called Strata, came out last May. That album also features a delightful cover song, which they're not going to do for you today, but if you go to their website, morethanphysics.com, you can listen to that and many other fantastic tunes. Everybody Wants to Rule the World also features a delightful homage to the original cover of the Tears for Fears album. Well done, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So you're working on a new album. You may have already played a new track.
Not yet. They're coming, though.
There's some unreleased music coming up, which is always exciting. Oh, that's fantastic. Good to live test some stuff, right?
Yeah.
What's your writing process like? Or is there one?
Well, it kind of varies. A lot of the times, one of us will have an idea that we have worked on separately, and then we bring that, and the other writes their part to it. A few of these later ones we've really written together, and when that happens, it's something really magical. Like, we just can't stop the process when that happens. It's like, oh, we're doing this. Oh, what about this? This is a great idea. And it just keeps building into this amalgamation of, like, it just takes off and creates its own life. So it's pretty neat. That's what's been happening recently. But even like the 3 newest songs, like he's had an idea and then I've had an idea and then we both worked on one together. So it's really cool how it comes together. So,
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. How do you, I don't know, this might seem like an odd question to ask. How do you come up with titles for the songs?
It's not easy when they're instrumental songs, right? Like you can't sing, this is about Sherry Baby or whatever. Right. So, we sometimes wrap it into the whole physics and science thing, or sometimes it really just speaks to you. It's like, wow, this is really why I fell in love with these instruments, and that's where that came from. So sometimes it's a little harder. Yeah. Sometimes it's literally just what notes is in this song, and we just pick words that go along with B or A, So it's, yeah. It's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, I was interested to understand that. Yeah, because without lyrics sometimes, yeah.
So it's feeling, the coolest thing about these is like you can just convey 100% emotion, and it's not any one specific emotion. So I really dig that about it. And so, whatever inspiration it has when this melody is coming along, or, try to find something that fits that somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun to sit here and listen to it. You can really allow yourself to go on a little journey of the mind. You two are working hard trying to make sure you hit all the right notes.
It's definitely work.
As the listener, I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm just kind of like wandering off. And as great as I'm sure it's sounding on the live stream here, live, it's really neat. The acoustics are super cool.
Yeah.
I imagine that playing live and watching people's response to that is really gratifying, I would hope.
Definitely. Did a lot of farmers markets, and it's cool how you can just catch the walker by and they stop and like, what is that thing? And some people don't, and that's cool too. But for the people that stop, and it just changes your life when you hear these things sometimes for the first time. It definitely put my life on a completely different course the moment I heard it. So it's like, it's pretty crazy that one little sound can do that. And pretty soon your life is going this way now.
Right. We started, we were playing who knows where on the floor in many different places or on the stage. And then now, we recently opened for Dirtwire at the Mish, and we've played across the world, across the country, heading out to Florida later this month for Pan Marco.
Cool. Yeah, I wanted to ask if you have any upcoming live performances you want to
That is our soonest is in November at Pan Marco in Florida. If you happen to be in Florida.
Cool.
It's like called Pan Marco. It's like a trade show kind of thing. So they have performers, and we haven't been there yet, so we don't know exactly what to expect. But we're actually not bringing any of our own instruments, so this is going to be new for us. We're leaving everything we have at home and just playing whatever people have down there.
Okay.
So we're going to take 2 days ahead of the thing and like come up with 20 minutes worth of music, and just whatever's down there, we'll figure it out. Like, we've been doing this long enough, and we're just going to roll the dice.
Yeah.
See how it goes.
In my mind, I was thinking that can't be cheap to fly with all of these.
I don't think so.
We typically drive.
Yeah, we've driven to California a few times, and then where else did we go? I drove to North Carolina once. There's little gatherings, so people that are fanatic about these things, we all get together, 60 or 100 of us, and we hang out all weekend and talk about them and play them and really just become nerds. It's pretty great.
Hey, you do you.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, we ready for another tune here?
Yeah, this one's called My Nitrited Heart.
All right.
I gotta move a couple things around here.
Oh, yeah. He does have to move a few things. You can ask me another question if you'd like while he does
My
that.
nitrided heart? That sounds like a chemistry.
Yeah, so
Are we more than chemistry for this song?
The darker colored ones are actually go through a process of nitriding.
Okay.
That's where they're exposed to specific temperatures, very high temperatures, and nitrogen gas.
Okay, and what does that do for the metal?
It sort of changes the first couple millimeters, or the first millimeter, to porcelain-ish substance, ceramic-ish.
Okay.
That's the better term, yeah. And it pulls this sound in and actually dampens the sustain slightly and gives the notes more stability.
Okay.
So this one's called My Nitrided Heart.
Very cool.
Nice.
My Nitrided Heart, it's an older cut from you too, from The Color Garden.
Correct.
Yeah.
Did
Which
your
has-
research.
2021.
20, oh, that's not that old. I
We
guess.
released it during the dark years.
Yes, and it's a very colorful cover.
Yeah, I know. It was like we had all these big plans for it, and then COVID said, "Hi."
It's got a bit of a different spin because now we have a bass drum.
Yeah.
And we didn't really have that until we were invited to play at the Mishawaka.
Okay.
So we felt we needed to bring something more to the table because
Yeah.
we've played at the Mishawaka like Sunday afternoon outside, maybe inside by the fire in winter. But this was our first primetime Friday night slot
Yeah.
with a big crowd. and a bunch of kids dancing and twirling. So we really brought the party, and it's worked out pretty good for us so far. So
Yeah, give them a beat to hook
right.
into.
You can't
right?
just go in there and do yoga music for that gig. It's like we just had to switch it up, and it was really the right thing because they really responded, and everybody was dancing and cheering. So it was awesome.
That's cool. I've seen yoga mentioned a couple times. Do you two practice yoga as well, or?
Jonathan's a yogi master.
Oh, awesome. That's great.
But we do a lot of music for yoga classes. So
Yeah.
we've got a monthly gig at Old Town Yoga, and we do it the second Saturday. It's a half yoga class and then half sound journey where we play gongs and do like shakers and bells and all sorts of cowbells and like just a bunch of it's a sound journey. So we really take you on a different place. So.
Wow, that sounds relaxing just hearing you describe it.
Yeah.
That's every Saturday?
Every second Saturday at Old Town Yoga.
At Old Town Yoga.
Yep.
All right. So those of you in Fort Collins, that's
So
something available.
That is technically our
residency?
yes, basically.
Okay.
But we are going to do, we're in the works of planning a show at the Atrium because we like to play there, and that's a cool little place right over,
Oh, yeah.
right below the Alley Cat. And we've played there before, and it was great. And so with our new set with the bass drum, I think it's going to go over really good there. So be on the lookout for that one. That's coming down the pike.
Okay. I love it. Good. I'm glad there's some local shows coming up. Okay. Everyone's back at the Handpans. What's coming up?
This is called Infinity.
Infinity.
Oh, I gotta switch everything again.
Okay. Is this an unreleased song?
Yes.
Oh, I'm excited.
The Handpan Shuffle.
Okay. They are working without a net, people. right, Infinity by More Than Physics. Jonathan Sadler, Clint Wilcox. Sounds great. I liked it. I like the choke technique you had there for a while.
Thing, yeah. I saw Peter Levitoff do that first. Shout out to Peter.
Very cool.
He really made that popular. Peter
It's a good
Levitoff.
sound that I don't think you had unleashed that yet today. Very cool. Who are some of your musical, I don't know, influences or people that you like to listen to?
My favorite band of all time is Ween.
All right.
So I grew up listening to like Weird Al when I first started liking music when I was like 12 years old. And that led into like They Might Be Giants, which led into like Ween and then grunge music. And from there, I've just been paying attention. So
I love it. That's great.
Geek rock, like Cake.
Yeah.
Or, Weezer, all that stuff. That was a big influence. And like Alice in Chains drumming is really is a heavy influence. John Smitzer Blues Explosion back in the day. Today I'm really into like house music and electronica and anything that challenges me, or like has a good beat or retro stuff from the thousands is good too. That EDM stuff from there is just gold, man.
That's awesome, Clint. Thanks. Jonathan, what about you, Jonathan?
I'm all over the map. I listen to everything. I started in a musical family, so I've really just listened to everything my whole life. Today, I'd say some of my influences are, I love Hiatus Coyote a lot, Snarky Puppy. I listen to all the neo soul kind of stuff, and I do listen to a lot of EDM myself. Recently, I've been listening to a lot of drum and bass, going back down that rabbit hole. I've done that before, but I'm doing it again because I just love to dance into. Drum and bass keeps me occupied, especially when I drive a lot. But I listen to a lot of KRFC. I like to listen to whatever's on the airwaves. I like KCSU too.
Big fan of FM radio.
Yeah, I like to just get surprised. I really like that. So
well, we try
that's how
our
I find
best
new
here.
music.
That's wonderful. Thanks. It's cool.
Absolutely. I've got a favorite radio station out of Seattle called KEXP, and they have an excellent morning show, and I tune in almost every day. John Richards, he's like community and all this, and it's super inspiring. And during the pandemic, it was You Are Not Alone, and we got this together, and it was pretty amazing. So yeah, highly recommend that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I assume the two of you live here in Fort Collins? Yeah, all right. Good place to be. Yeah.
Well, it's a little expensive here, but I feel as musicians, we actually get quite a bit out of what we pay in. We've been afforded so many opportunities, I think, because we live here and music is nurtured here in this town. More so than probably in Iowa where I came from. So I'm glad I got out. I'm glad I'm here, and it feels really good to be a part of like FOCO MX every year and just all these opportunities that are for us. I'm really grateful for Greta and Danny Grant and everybody that does cool stuff.
Yeah, it's a good community.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're a part of it. This is an amazing group you two have here.
Oh, thank you.
This one is called Cloud 13, and it's for Jenny.
All right, Cloud 13. Sounds good, guys.
Yeah.
Is that another new one?
Brand new.
All right.
Still breaking that one in a little bit.
Well, it sounds good over here.
We're going to get into these next two songs if that's okay.
Just whip through these last ones if that's all right.
I think we're good.
Cool.
Yeah, so well, we'll just say our goodbyes then, I guess. And
Got
you can, okay. Not quite. Now, what's this one called?
This one's called Mish Dance. This was like the first one we wrote when we found out we were playing the Mish, but it was, at the time we didn't even have kick drum. That actually came later. So we wrote, I was like, we got to have some dancey thing. And Jonathan's like, well, what about this? And I was like, yeah, exactly that. Yes, exactly that. So, yeah.
All right. So, if you're listening at home, feel free to get up off your chair and start dancing.
Little swap-a-rooney.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Expertly executed. That's good. Finally, they debut with a hi-hat.
Yeah. Yeah, this was a neat little addition there.
I like it. So we're talking with More Than Physics. MoreThanPhysics.com is where you can find all your physics needs.
Yeah.
Something like that.
He's got to make one more switch for this last tune.
Oh, good.
Already switched.
Okay, cool.
He's
Well,
fast. I have to make a switch.
all right. What's this next one called?
This is called Becoming Ambient Energy.
Wow, cool. And I think this will be about it for the show today.
That's it.
Any last things we need to cover?
You know, if you like what you hear, we have an Instagram. We've got a Facebook. We'd love it if KRFC listeners were checking that out. We have our next Pan Marco performance coming up, and the Atrium in the near future. And if we've got a new record coming out. So all that information will be, updated on those places.
Well done. Congratulations. Okay. Well, it's been a real treat to have you here in the Ginger and Baker studio. You got it. And we'll be seeing you down the road.
Thank you so much.
Namaste, gentlemen.
Thank you for listening to Live at Lunch, and thank you to the Music District here in the heart of Fort Collins, Colorado. Live at Lunch is produced by KRFC 88.9 FM in the Ginger and Baker studio. If you'd like to appear on Live at Lunch, email our music director, David Vacek, at david@krfcfm.org.